Reddit dit to do and welcome into more important issues. It is Sunday, March 14th. No intro. Sorry. Technical difficulties. So no intro today. But hey, we're here. And that's what's
Yeah,
important.
nothing's ever easy being a Tennessee fan, so we're used to this.
Exactly. Whoa. There was a sweep today, so don't. It's not all bad. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely.
We had to earn it though.
That's true. That's a good point. But yeah, it definitely was not an ideal weekend. Not the weekend everybody hoped for. That's the real thing. Because I mean the way Tennessee played, I think, gave everybody hope. Everybody, something, a reason to look. Things are looking up. Tough loss, obviously, and then you lost John Fulkerson for. Overall, yeah, a tough weekend, but definitely some. There's definitely was some hope left on the table, at least in my eyes.
Yeah, it's just how does Tennessee respond
Mm-hmm.
is the thing I'm most interested in. Do they kind of dwell on that loss in the SEC tournament? Do they dwell on not having John Fulkerson, or do they use it as motivation? It seemed like yesterday for the majority of the game until that kind of 12-0 run in the second half or 14-0 run in the second half that Tennessee was using it for motivation.
Right.
They're like Yves Pond said, it pissed us off,
Yeah.
and that they played like that up until that point, and just kind of blew it at the end.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and John Fulgerson's going to be a really tough loss, just as what you needed, and how well he played in the Florida game too, and then obviously the last two Florida games, I should say, that made it just kind of a bigger blow than what it normally would have been, or at any point this season. It made it a bigger blow. You could have used you can use as many veterans this time with season two, so that definitely makes it tough. Obviously, we're going to talk Tennessee basketball. We've also got Eric Kane of the Sports Animal and Locked On Vols joining us here soon to talk football and recruiting, so stay tuned during the episode. Bring him on, talking baseball, and of course we got our most important and fail of the week. Big sweep for the Vols. So excited to get to that point in the show, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, big win. Getting things going at the plate just in time for SEC play. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. All right, let's get rolling today since we do got to get to. We're gonna bring Eric Kane on. Gonna get there, but let's talk Tennessee this weekend. Obviously, like you said, the disappointment in that Alabama loss, 15 point lead at one point in the second half, giving up, which that's never fun. But I mean, overall, Tennessee looked a lot better than they have in the last 2 or 3 months. That they look this week. I mean, that Alabama team. I'm not I'm not giving moral victories or anything because Tennessee should have won. But you lost to a good Alabama team. You didn't lose to it wasn't a bad loss outside of what you set it up to be in terms of giving up that lead. That's the reason it was bad.
Yeah, and they're number 2 seed. They're SEC champion now. It just hurts watching them win it today when you were so very close to knocking them off and upsetting them.
I hate
It's
LSU,
unfortunate.
though. That's worth mentioning. You said it too. You were like, at least
Yeah,
neither. You would have been happy seeing either team lose, but you're also mad seeing either team win.
correct. Yes. Um, Keon Johnson, Jaden Springer really showed out yesterday. They proved why they're some of the top freshmen in the country, and I also think it kind of proved that neither one is, in that stage. If the freshmen are shining like that, they're probably not going to be here next year.
Right.
So I hate to kind of rain on your parade, but yeah, I would look for them to not be back in Tennessee after the performance they had yesterday and just the whole season in general.
Right.
Did have 5 turnovers. I think that the 14-0 run that Alabama had in the second half, I think that is negated if you have some kind of post presence, because Tennessee just wasn't knocking down shots anymore. And so when you're not knocking down shots, you love to have some kind of post presence to be able to get an easy basket. And they just didn't have that yesterday. Urosh played great for 17 minutes, but he's not a guy that's going to go in and get buckets.
Yeah, he's not a. You're not going to look to him when you're in a drought. He's not. He's not going to bring you back.
You're only getting the ball to him if he's wide open.
Right.
Or you're going to use him for a screen. That's the
Mhm.
only time you're going to use him. But I think he does a great job. He's just a glue guy. I mean, you saw him at the end of the game with Devontae Gaines. Just he was the first one to kind of check on him after he came out of the game after he missed those 2 free throws. And that's the kind of guys that you need in this program. That's the kind of guys that Rick Barnes has always recruited, guys like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's been great to see Urosh play so well. I mean, so well for what you kind of expect from Urosh at this point. To come in when John Fulkerson got hurt in the Florida game, and then obviously, like you said, a good 17 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
Urosh is gonna, if he gives you any valuable minutes, I mean that's good because I think when you've got a 7-footer on your bench, you got to be able to play him, and right now up to this point you haven't been able to. So if you can kind of add just a few good minutes from him in March, that's big.
Yeah, because I mean he's a presence.
Mm-hmm.
He might not give you a lot offensively, but he's a guy that somebody's not going to just come through and blow like just dunk. They're not going to dunk on him. He's 7 foot tall.
Yeah, they've at least
if they're dunking on him. They need to be in the NBA.
like they've got to at least go around him. That's the
right.
That's the bonus
Yep.
of that. It's not as simple as just just playing like you said. It going around a 7-footer is hard.
And he was more impactful than Victor Bailey Jr. was yesterday. I mean, VBJ went 1 for 5, 0 for 3 from 3. So not a great game from him as well. The freshmen did have 5 turnovers apiece. So Tennessee had 19 as a team. You're not going to win many ball games, especially with a really good team like Alabama, if you're having 19 turnovers.
Yeah, and I mean that is never a good way to play any opponent, like you said, let alone Alabama. The good news is, how many turnovers did Alabama actually have?
I think they had they had 17.
So I was about to say Tennessee was able to create quite a few turnovers as well, which is good. But yeah, I mean, think about it. If you take away a couple of those possessions, you'd like to think you score on those, at least a few of them. So yeah, that could have been the difference in the game. Just a few less than 19 turnovers.
Yep. And they also the offensive fouls, man. Like, good God, everything is an offensive foul. I don't even know what to say it. Like, it's the one on, I think was just no, it was Keon, and the guy wasn't set. Like, there's nothing in the rule book that says that's an offensive foul, but I guess that's just the favorite call that people like to do is a charge call.
It is. I mean, we talked about it. I know you're a block guy. You think the block's fun, but let's be honest. It's that offensive foul charge that is the fun. It's the most fun call in basketball. It might be. We talked about this a few weeks ago. It might be the most fun call of all sports.
Probably is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it. Yeah. Like I said, I told you I had to listen to the game again. I counted for those of you that were wondering because we talked about this last time I had to listen about how I was like, I wonder how many possessions I went without ever hearing the score. 6 possessions and 1 stoppage. No score update.
We do have a comment. I'm going to read this to you because you're going to find it interesting. So Dexter Williams Jr. said Tennessee men's basketball doesn't deserve to go to the NCAA tournament.
I wonder why. That's weird.
Because we lost to Alabama?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird take.
Everybody else agrees. I mean, they put us in the tournament. We're a 5 seed, so.
Yeah, it's not like they were a bubble team that snuck in and maybe you're like, they didn't deserve it. But.
Yeah, like Michigan State had to knock off like 3 top 5 teams to get a shot in a playing game.
Who took Louisville's spot? Louisville's an alternate, aren't they?
Oh, I don't.
I need to pull it up. I've only looked at a couple of the match. Like I haven't looked at the whole matchup, but I know Louisville got kept out. I just don't know who kept them out.
Well, I know Michigan State was like one of the last 4
in. Yeah.
Wichita State, Drake, UCLA, Michigan State. Those are all your 11 seeds.
Gotcha.
And then the 16 seeds were probably just conference champions of lower level teams.
Right. Gotcha. All right. Well, interesting. So we talked about Alabama kind of being one of the, they were the number 1 seed, like a favorite, obviously going in. And we talked about how it wouldn't have been shocking had they won it. Were you shocked I was shocked that Arkansas didn't even get to the final?
Yeah, LSU looked like that was a great game today.
Yeah.
Hated to see both those teams play. I hated to see one of them win it because I despise both those teams. They're two teams that Rick Barnes just can't figure it out against. But yeah, I was surprised about that too. I thought Arkansas would get past that LSU team, but in March, there's just something about.
It.
Yep.
Yeah. I overall, did you get to watch the game today? I don't know if you got to not.
Yeah, I watched the second half because I kind of thought Alabama would just probably run away with it.
Really?
And then my parlay was already busted because of freaking what's it called? Loyola, Maryland.
Yeah, I would say that the plus 10.5 was somehow not made. I don't know. That would be crazy. But that Alabama LSU game was very entertaining to watch. And then they had one of the worst finishes I've ever seen to go along with one of the best.
Yeah, they missed layups.
Yeah, but I mean, in a very entertaining game. Like, I had a lot of fun watching it.
The over hit, so that's good.
The over did hit. It got a little nerve wracking there closer to the end. I think it was 162 is where it finished. But yeah, it did hit. That's the good news. Okay, so Tennessee in the tournament. Let's talk about their futures.
I want to talk about, before we get to that, I want to talk about Devontae Gaines real quick.
Okay.
Just because there's been some people on Twitter kind of disagreeing about he should be in the game, whether he shouldn't be. The fact of the matter is Herb Jones destroying Vasco Bailey, whoever he was on. They're switching, and they would catch Herb Jones on Vescovi or Bailey, and they'd get it to him, and he was just scoring at will. So I like to go with somebody, a guy like Devontae Gaines, who is one of the kind of high energy guys, to try to get a stop. And his job. And Barnes' plan was he would call a top and replace him with this other guy. Then Devontae Gaines gets fouled.
And that's like his job.
Right. And I hear him at his tough spot, but the fact is, he probably spent at least one foul.
You got to make those. You got to make those. But it really said he couldn't do one thing, and he did. Like, you gotta step up a shot like that. That part that just really sucked him. To also, really do your job, and you just, it's.
Yeah, and if you don't understand, if he was eating those players up like that, why don't you try to do it earlier?
Yeah, and that's another thing I think will be, people who like Rick Barnes already are going to use it as which I have always agreed with. Rick Barnes' game, which how many? I think it's more than just coaching. The fact that in-game coaching, and he won more than he's lost, so it's got to be. You can't sit here and act like he's the worst late game guy of all time.
Right? Yeah, he's second, at least second Tennessee ever had in this program. I don't know. It's not like go from Nixon freaking. I mean, it's. I don't know. I don't get the hate for Barnes because he's got this program. It's a winning culture. It's a win program. He's competitive every single year, and he's bringing in the talent. So I don't know where the hate for Barnes kind of.
I'll say this, I get frustration, but yeah, like the hate, it's hard to understand because
just kind of looking for something to bring up, and
it's ammunition. Yeah, it's one win, but they won championships and want seats. Like, if you pull any fan, they'd rather win a national championship than go in 5 years, which is gonna happen. But the point would rather win a championship than have winning regular seasons. That's partially understandable. But you also have to understand kind of what it takes to do that. And, it's just, I'm much happier now than I was a couple years ago. So let's just say that.
You got people buying season tickets that probably didn't even hear about basketball years ago.
There's no question that Rick Barnes is a phenomenal program. No question.
Yep. Omar
Payne. That was ridiculous. Let me be clear about that. Ridiculous.
If you play a basketball court, you get arrested.
Here's what I don't understand. Why? I don't know. So did Mike argue? Or did I see a different, wrong picture, wrong video?
I don't know if he was arguing that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Coming out of context. But that is a vicious play. And hit two. One play, 2 cheap shots. Obviously, the second one was much more. The first one was shell too. He just let him clean
there's no ring kind of behavior. So, I hate it for, you make a mistake, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
He should be able to participate in the tournament, and they want to carry that over to the next one. I think it's fair. Because, John Fulton is a senior. That could be his last game ever in a Tennessee basketball uniform, and you did that. You tried it twice. You tried to catch him twice.
He did it twice. He got him cleaner on the second shot.
Right. Yeah.
It was a
Just
yeah,
cowardice.
it was a vicious play. It was nasty. So
And I mean, Tennessee's in that game, but Tennessee's always going to be like, what if we had on Ferguson who scored 14 points against Florida on last week, and then he had 8 points in 19 minutes of play on Friday. Does he put Tennessee past Alabama? It's always going to be kind of in our head, what if? But Tennessee's got to move on, I guess, and use his motivation, because if you just dwell on it, nothing good is going to come of it.
no,
But his eye look.
yeah. Also, I don't know if you can really see it, the camera well. I've got a good little shiner for my dog.
He popped you?
Yeah,
Gave you an
an
elbow?
good. Dude, he just dropped it on me. It was a vicious attack. He was sneezing. We were laying in bed. He was sneezing, and yeah, it was pretty bad.
Threatening to take him to the P word.
Oh, I was pissed. I was mad. I guess I was like, he didn't mean to, but I was still like, come on. Well, I was worried it hurt. I was like, man, I'm gonna have a black eye, and no one's gonna believe me when I'm like, my dog was sneezing. No one's gonna believe that. Yeah, everyone's gonna be like,
that is a vicious sneeze.
Who got you? Dog sneezing. That's all. So I'm excited to try that. Right. So they announced they're not a push, or they not set anything.
I think they have to review it.
They have to review it.
I guess they'll review before the next game. At least we'll review it.
Interesting. I feel like they've already done that.
Okay. I don't think it takes long to say, yeah, you're out for at least forever.
You suspend ones for, I would argue, if we're gonna say which one suspension was dumb for. If you stepped on somebody, you should have sent it in for than a half. 2, I don't know. Maybe he did mean this one. I might argue that, but just that one. That's stupid. If you do believe, it's incredibly dumb. But whatever I'm about to say. I don't know. I don't know where we're at now. Sorry. NCAA basketball. That's it. Real quick. Tournament.
We have a question about Chris how he sits and who won the tournament. I think my favorite round, I think Don Taylor is definitely up there. I know if I'm to see, I do not want to face Oklahoma State right now.
Probably not.
Second round, that is a nightmare. Tennessee is a good defensive team, so